Yeah. One in '75, we had an arc with that Vopar. I was on a crew. There was 8 of us. The furthest north, I was on that far. The furthest north at that time, I'm sure they did. Since we jumped a fire at the confluence of the Colville and the Krupa River, way up north. There's 8 of us. 75, they were still drilling, and some guy, luckily for me, turned out a drilling pad there. That was the only thing I know was this big chunk of concrete, of gravel. Some guy had to have some oil. They spilled it on the ground. He said they did something the EPA would probably shoot it for. They lit it off, left. So it went out in the tundra, took off. It was a great fire because it was the end of August. It was hot. I mean, it was like 80 degrees, a couple hundred miles south of Barrow. And I wrote about it. I wrote an article. I wanted to have it printed in the Smokejumper newsletter, the quarterly, and didn't come out. But my title of it was The Camel Fire. The fire took off. One of the guys, I don't want to mention his name, he was the only jumper ever that smoked cigarettes. Not even smoked them, he inhaled them. We were on that fire for about 8 days. We were burning peat up in there. We had to dig up the peat. And it was so warm, we went down the Colville River, coming out of Brooks Range, skinny dipped in the water. There's no mosquitoes at all, which is incredible for Alaska. This is like toward the end of August. And the guy got so nervous without nicotine fit, we almost had a couple of fights with him. One day he was on that side of the fire. Helicopter came in to deliver fresh food, which you all love. He got on a helicopter, said, "Look, you take me over to Barrow, Point Barrow, right on the Arctic coast. I need some cigarettes." I didn't tell the pilot that. So the pilot, it was a petroleum pilot. He flew 200 some miles to Barrow, and he didn't tell anybody. He said, "What happened to yada yada yada?" A couple of days later, he came back, got some cigarettes. Now, it wasn't a contract airplane, it was private. And they billed us. And there it was in Kalispell, Montana in February 1982. I got a call from Al Dutton. "McMurtrey, you're on this fire up north?" "Yeah. We got this bill from this helicopter. They billed us back in those thousands of dollars. Extra flight, what happened?" I had to tell him the story. He was pissed. He went out there for a couple of packs of cigarettes. It cost about $1,000 a pack. It cost the BLM $1,000 a pack. And, so I wrote that up, sent it in. Another fire. I was one of the first guy to jump a Kodiak. There was 4 of us on the fire. Well, about a couple of weeks later, we jumped another fire in Kodiak, which has never been done before, I guess, up until that time. There's probably a lot of them now.
Was that usually pretty wet down in there?
Oh yeah, wet. We had a really nice time. We got demoed by a float plane on both fires. The bears were hassling us. Kodiak bear, the biggest bear in the world, but these were just grizzlies. We had to be careful on those.
What happened? What do you remember happening with those? I'm kind of interested in that.
Oh yeah. New Storyhook was the name of the town that was there. Old Storyhook got destroyed in the '65 earthquake, so they built a new town, put up on the ridge there. The New Storyhook fire. We beat it all night long. It was hot. It was hot. And I went down to the beach, and we took off. I had bean boots there.
What are those?
Well, everybody had a bean boot. LL Bean boots.
Oh, LL Bean. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we call bean boots. Everybody
Okay.
had them
Yeah.
because Alaska's wet. I took them off. We were sleeping 4 or 5 hours in Kodiak. I'm the first and only guy in the world that got sunburned on Kodiak Island, which I never need a sun. My feet, I started getting blisters. They were so big I couldn't put my shoes back on. Get big blisters. I walked through we got demoed I had to get demoed walking my bare feet from the new Story Hut to Anchorage. Went to the Anchorage terminal walking on my bare feet because it was just big, huge puffs.
Well, what happened with
They were laughing, giggling. I went back to Fairbanks.
Well, what happened with the bears?
Well, we threw rocks at it.
That one bear?
Yeah, and bears. Everybody has a bear story in Alaska. I didn't really see that many. A lot of guys seen a lot of bears, but that was the closest bear I've been to. But I see them. We see them on the ground all the time. You have to be very, very careful. Black bears really worry you because they're very curious. The grizz see it and they kind of, you gotta be careful. They'd sneak off. If you talk to a bunch of jumpers in Alaska, they'll tell you a number of bear stories. Some of them are pretty impressive.
So when you were up there, did you ever look into the history of how the Fairbanks operation started? Fairbanks
No.